Hi there, my name is Andy Bose. I'm the Director of Data and Eligibility at School Food Solutions, and this training is about free and reduced price meal applications and eligibility for school year 2025-2026. We're going to be doing an overview of eligibility, what that means. We're going to dive into the processing procedures for the applications that you're going to receive. We're going to take a deep dive into what an application has on it and what you'll need to check for. We'll practice checking a couple of applications, and then we're going to wrap up with your next steps and how to get more support if you need it. So to start with, what is eligibility? Why do we have to do this? So it's required by the USDA, as participating in the National School Lunch Program means that you need to make free and reduced meal applications available to your families. You also need to be matching for direct certification eligibility at least 3 times a year. We suggest you do this monthly if at all possible. This is important to determine how much to charge a student for the meals they are served. It also determines how much reimbursement money your school is going to receive for the meal that is served. It can help your school receive sources of funding that are based on student eligibility and income levels, and can help your eligible families qualify for benefits like Sunbucks, also known as summer EBT, childcare, bus passes, testing fee waivers, college application fee waivers, etc. So it's important for your families, it's important for your school, and it's required. So how can a student qualify for free or reduced meals with an application? The most common way is by reporting a household income below 185% of the federal poverty line. The charts here on the right show you what those incomes are for 25-26. Folks have to complete a meal application each school year because the income eligibility scales change each school year. So these are the ones for 25-26. In addition to listing income, families could also list a case number for anyone in the household that participates in a qualifying assistance program. So if someone in the house participates in SNAP for supplemental nutrition assistance, or TANF, temporary assistance for needy families, or less likely, food distribution program on Indian reservations, or FDPIR. If they participate in any of those programs, then they can put the case number of that program on the application, and that will qualify the students in that household for free meals. They can also report special situations like foster status, homelessness, or migrant, meaning a family whose principal employment is like agriculture on a seasonal basis and has a temporary living situation, and receives migrant education services. Those situations do need to be confirmed by the school or agency. We can't just take the family's word for it like we do with the income or the case number for the program. Students are also able to qualify for free or reduced meals without an application through a couple of ways. One is direct certification. So students that are matched with state agency records of participating in SNAP, TANF, or Medicaid at a level that qualifies based on income, if they are matched from state records, those students are automatically eligible for free or reduced meals. If one child in a household is directly certified, all children in that household can be extended that eligibility. So those sibling extensions are another way that students can qualify without an application. Also, situations like homelessness, migrant status, or foster status, if the school provides documentation of that, we can qualify those students for free or reduced meals without an application. Families are going to find out if they're eligible for benefits via a letter that School Food Solutions will generate and mail home. So every student who is directly certified is going to get a letter letting them know that and letting them know they don't need to complete an application. We're also going to mail home a letter for each family who submits an application that we process that lets them know if they qualify for free or reduced, or if they don't qualify. And if they don't qualify, it will have some information about appealing that decision, but please contact us if you have any family reaching out to you saying that they disagree with the eligibility determination that was made for them. Usually this can get resolved really simply. It's sometimes just a processing error. So let us know what's going on. We will try and work it out with the family without needing to go through a formal appeals process. You guys at the school are also going to get notifications about which students have completed applications or direct certification. So what we do is send you what's called a student status list. During the busy back to school time, you're going to get these basically weekly. And then as things slow down, we try to send them about once a month. And these lists will include everyone who's completed an application, everyone who's been directly certified, and whether they're eligible as free or reduced. We ask that you review those to let us know about any potential sibling extensions to make sure that we update the system with those. Another thing that happens and is required as a part of tracking eligibility is a process called verification. Verification happens in October. It is required that we take a 3% sample of all eligible applications that have been received through October 1st. And we reach out to those selected families and ask them to provide some backup documentation about their income or what they put on their application. Again, it's only a handful of applications, 3% of the approved ones that go through this process. Those families basically have to provide pay stubs or some other kind of proof of their income. If they don't respond or provide documentation that no longer qualifies them for benefits, their status will get updated from free or reduced to full pay. So that's something to be aware of. We will be in communication about this in September and October, and we'll let you know, what you need to do. We handle most of it for you. All right, let's talk now about processing applications. So, School Food Solutions handles a lot of the eligibility world on your behalf. We're going to provide this training for anybody who's going to be managing the applications. So please make sure to share this with anybody else who's going to be handling applications at your school. We get you a compliant application packet put together each school year. We make sure that your point of sale system, where all this data is stored, is up to date, rostered, configured properly. We process any applications that you send us within 10 operating days in your point of sale system. We will communicate with you as soon as possible about any that are unable to be processed so that you can get that fixed. We upload direct certification lists into your point of sale system. We generate and mail those family notification letters about eligibility. We'll send you status lists to help you keep track of which students have been directly certified or who have submitted an application. We answer any questions that you guys have or that your families might have about applications or eligibility, and we manage that verification process in October. So what does your school need to do? Mainly, you need to make the application packets available to families. So the more applications you can get, the better, the more participation you'll have in your meal program. Families are not required to complete it though, so you can't require that they do it, but you can definitely encourage it. So distribute it at back to school events, send it home with your students, put it in a newsletter, email it out to folks. You can also post a link of it, and should post a link of it on your website. You'll need to determine who's going to be in charge of collecting applications. So is it one person at the front desk? Is it a team of folks? You guys need to determine that. Make sure anybody involved completes this training. And then that team needs to develop a system to review, scan, and store applications. We're going to go into this in more detail in a second, but basically each application needs to get checked for completion, scanned to School Food Solutions in batches, and then stored those original paper applications need to be stored somewhere securely. We also need your data manager or whoever is in charge of direct certification to send those extracts to us, ideally on a monthly basis. They usually become available at the beginning of each month. All right, the application packet itself is going to include a letter to households and an instructions page. You need to provide families with the whole packet, in addition to the actual application itself. Take a look through the packet, make sure that it's got the correct school year, your school name is written how you want it to be, your school address, phone number, officials, everything is correct. We do our best to double check everything, but it's if you catch it before you get it out to families, that would be great, and we can fix any problems. You want to make sure families are using the current year's application. If they submit an older form, they're going to need to do a new one. And we will provide these packets in English and in Spanish. If your population needs other translations, let us know. We do have access to some other ones. Some resources that we're going to share along with the application packet is this quick check guide. This is great to have printed, maybe laminated, kept wherever applications are received. This reminds you of the things to check for on the application. We're going to go through all of that in more detail in a minute, but I wanted to let you know that you're going to get this resource, and it's handy to have wherever you're reviewing applications. We're also going to send you this resource, so if you want to print this two-sided and put that on the back with the quick check, that's a good idea. This explains how to send us the applications. The main thing we want to highlight here is don't hold on to applications. We need to process them within 10 days of receipt. So have a process daily to review the applications that have come through and to scan them to School Food Solutions. We ask that when you're scanning these, the name of the email and the file attachment should be your school name and the date that you're submitting it. If you're going to be submitting more than one batch in a day, it was a busy day, you got a lot of applications, you can add a batch number after that. Applications need to be scanned and emailed to FORMS, FORMS, at schoolfoodsolutions.org. Original applications, the papers you receive from families, do need to be maintained even after you scan them. They need to be kept for 3 years plus the current year for audits. So we recommend, if you receive a lot of applications, getting one of these little alphabetical folios for each school year is a handy way to do it. You just put the app by last name alphabetically. You could also use binders. We do suggest that you use page protectors in those cases so that you're not hole punching the originals. There's no need to store the original applications in the students' folders. That will make it hard to pull them all together at the time of an audit. So if you do want to keep them in the student cumulative folder, you can make a copy to put there. Try and keep them all together and preferably alphabetized. All right, another thing is that your data manager or whoever is in charge of direct certification ideally will be pulling a direct certification extract on a monthly basis. This is usually available by like the 10th of each month. It has to be done at least 3 times a year, but we prefer to do it monthly if possible to qualify as many students as possible. The DC list that becomes available in July is the first of the new school year, so that's the most important. It's going to have the bulk of the kids who are going to be directly certified, so please send that one to us as soon as possible. These can get emailed to forms@schoolfoodsolutions.org. We will provide a secure Dropbox link that you can use to upload the files securely. Again, we are going to let you know how your students have qualified using what's called a status list. So it looks kind of like this image here. It's an Excel spreadsheet that's going to list all your kids. There's a column labeled eligibility. That's going to show the student's status as free, reduced, or if they don't qualify for either of those, it will say paid. Students who are highlighted yellow do not have a processed application or direct certification for the current year. So this is important, especially at the beginning of the year. There is this 30-day carryover period. So folks who were free or reduced last year maintain those benefits for 30 operating days this school year. So if you see someone has an eligibility of free or reduced, but they're highlighted yellow, that eligibility is expiring. It will end in September, October, depending on when your school starts. So it's important for those students, especially, that they need to fill out a new application to get re-upped for the current year. Students that are not highlighted have something on file for the current year. So they're either directly certified or they have a processed application. So those statuses are set. There's nothing really else those families need to do. Please review these lists closely when we send them to you to check for any issues. The main thing we want you to check for are sibling extensions. So your point of sale system, based on home addresses, tries to find siblings, but occasionally it will miss them. So if you notice a set of siblings have different statuses, let us know and we can make sure to extend the benefits to all the members of the household. Here are some important dates to remember. The first one is, when are you going to get your application packets? And that is once this training is complete. You're going to take a little quiz to let us know you finish it. And then if your roster is up to date in your point of sale system, we'll send you your application packets so you can start getting them out to families. We aren't able to process applications if the kids aren't in the system, so that's why we need both an updated roster and for you to have taken this training before you get the application packet. July 1st is an important date. That is the beginning of the new school year. So applications at the earliest can be released on July 1st if your system is ready for them to process at that point. If you use online applications, that's another thing that does not become available until July 1st. Mid-July, again, is when that first direct certification list should be available. Please try and get that to us as soon as possible. Again, there's that 30-day carryover of students' statuses from last school year. We set this up in your system to expire based on your school calendar. So if your calendar has been updated or if you haven't shared it with School Food Solutions yet, please send us your school calendar so that we can have the right 30-day window set up. And then in October, we'll do the verification process. So some families are going to need to prove the income that they report. We'll reach out about that when it gets closer. All right, let's dive into the application template itself and take a look at each part. So the template hasn't changed much. So if you've done this in past years, it should look familiar. Families need to complete step 1, where they list children, either step 2, listing participation in a benefit program, or step 3, listing household adult income. And then step 4 is where they sign. So they need to complete at least step 1, either 2 or 3, and everybody has to do step 4. School staff should not be writing on applications in most cases. We'll talk about the one exception to that in just a bit. So families need to complete step 1. Step 1 is student info. So you should be listing all children, infants, and students in this section. There's space for folks to put the student's grade. That is nice to have, but not required. There's also a place for them to enter foster status, homeless status, migrant status, or runaway status. These are things that we will have to confirm with the school before we can qualify the student based on those check boxes, but they can check those off if they apply. Step 2 is where they can select an assistance that they participate in an assistance program like SNAP, TANF, or FDPIR. If they do, they check yes, and then they write the case number. What's important about the case number is that it should not be a 16-digit debit card number. So if they have, for example, SNAP benefits, they might have an EBT card. The card number is not a case number. A case number is usually 8 or 9 digits. Sometimes it has a mix of letters and numbers. It would be listed on any letters that they receive from that benefit program. If a family selects yes and includes a case number, they can totally skip step 3 and you can ignore step 3. And they can just go ahead to step 4 to sign. Now, if they have an incomplete step 2 or left it blank, then they have to complete step 3. Step 3 is where they can report all the income for all household members. So they need to list the adult household member, everyone's name, first and last, and then any income those folks receive. If they leave it blank, we assume that means that person has 0 income. Families should also be reporting their gross income, meaning their income before any deductions or taxes are taken out. Not their take-home pay amount, but their gross income amount. So they need to enter both an amount of money and under how often received, they need to select one of the frequencies. So their choices there are weekly, every 2 weeks, twice a month, monthly, or annually. So we need both bits of information there in order to process this, an amount and a frequency. Underneath the names of all the adults, there's a place to total the household members. So that count needs to match the number of child and adult names on the form. So if they list 3 children and 2 adults, the number for total household members should be 5, as an example. There's also a place to write in a social security number or the last 4 digits of one of the adult household members. They need to do that or check the no social security number box. Either way. We don't do anything with the social, but they need to do one or the other for it to be a complete form. There is a place underneath all of that to put a total of child income. Most of the time this should be blank. This would only be if the children in the house have a source of income such as Social Security or employment, then they can put that, a total of all the children that receive income, they put that total there. Step 4 is where the adult who's completing the form should print their name, sign it, and put a current date. So some issues that happen here, sometimes people put their birthday instead of a current date. It needs to be, when it was completed. And it also has to be signed by somebody who was listed on the form. So if they completed step 3, it has to be one of those household members. It can't be a third party, and it can't be a student. The contact information, mailing address, phone, email, that's all optional. So if they leave that blank, it's okay. So what should you guys be writing on the applications? Most of the time, nothing. We will complete the school use only box of the scanned copies that we receive. And in the case of an administrative review or an audit, we'll help you as a school fill out that box on the original applications. So normally nothing to write on an application if it's a complete application. The only exception to this is if a correction needs to be made. So if an application is missing any required data or has something unclear or conflicting, you guys should reach out to the family to get the correct information. They don't have to come in and fill it out unless they forgot to sign it. Usually you as a school official can just make the correction while talking to them over the phone. So you would just draw a single line through any kind of duplicate or inaccurate information. Please don't use whiteout or correction tape. You just want to draw a line through it. You can write in any additional information that the family shares as close to where it belongs on the application as you can. And then add in your initials and the date that you obtained that information from the family. So showing that the change was made by a school official and what date that change was made. All right, so let's practice a bit looking at some applications that are completed but are missing something to let us process them. So here's our first example. When you're looking through the app, you want to make sure, do we have students listed? Yep. Do they do step 2? No, that's okay. Looks like they're doing step 3. I see they listed 4 total household members. I see 4 names, so we're good there. They put the social security. Great, that's good. I see some income information. Oh, but here's the issue. They didn't check off a frequency. So in this case, you would call the family, let them know you need that frequency information, check off whatever they say, if it's weekly or every 2 weeks, whatever it may be. Check it off, and then just add your initials and date next to the selection you made. Otherwise, this form is fine. It's signed by a member of the household. It's dated. It's all good. Let's look at another one. So this form, again, has 2 students listed. That's fine. Step 2, blank again, no big deal. Step 3, we see an adult, we see some money, we see a frequency, I see a total household members, I see a social security number, a signature, and a date. So it has everything, but I notice that the total number of household members is listed as 4, but there's only 3 folks listed on the application itself. So in this case, you would need to call the family and ask about that disparity. If they forgot to list their baby, you could just write that child's name in the top. If they forgot to list another adult, list them in step 3, ask about their income, sign and date next to anything that you add. If they just, wrote 4 and meant to write 3, you would just draw a line through the number 4, change it to 3, and then initial and date next to that. All right, here's another example. We've got a student. That's all good. Step 2, still blank. We've got an adult. Says 2 household members. That matches the number. We've got an amount of income. We've got a frequency. We've got a name and a signature and a date. All of this looks pretty good. Oh, they forgot to do the social security number. So again, they don't have to write in the last 4 digits if they don't want to, but they do have to then check the no social security number box. So one or the other. So again, this one you can reach out and get the social or check the box and then just initial and date next to that. All right, another example. We have a student. Ooh, this one has step 2 completed. So it does say that they participate in SNAP, TANF, or FDPIR, and they put in a case number, but that case number looks really long. That's our issue here. That is a 16-digit debit card number. We cannot accept that as a case number. So in this case, you would need to, in this case, you would need to reach out and ask for a good case number. All right, thanks for practicing with me. Now we're gonna wrap up this training with some resources for you. Again, we will send you your application packets as soon as we get word that you finished this training and that your system is ready to go. But if you have any questions throughout the school year, I want you to know we're here to support you. The best place to reach out to first is forms, FORMS, at schoolfoodsolutions.org. This is where you're going to be sending your scanned apps to. This is going to be where you're sending your direct certification list to. This is also basically your help desk about eligibility. So any questions that come up, send them to forms. If you have a family that has a special situation or doesn't understand the application form, we do have a phone number that they can call. Encourage them to leave a voicemail if someone doesn't answer live. Extension 2 on this toll-free number will get you an English line. Extension 4 will get you a Spanish line. If your team needs more support, is not getting what you need, you can always reach out to me, Andy Bose, at ANDEE@schoolfoodsolutions.org, or you can reach out to your client manager, Kaylee Smith, KAYLEE, at schoolfoodsolutions.org. We're here to support you and your team. So, next steps, it's really important that you go back to the email that we sent this training to you in and complete the short quiz. It's real simple. It'll only take you a couple minutes. Taking that will let us know that you have completed this training and you are ready to receive your application packet forms. So please complete that so that we can get you what you need and you can get it out to your families. Thanks, as always, for your partnership. We at School Food Solutions really appreciate you working with us, and we are happy to help in any way that we can. So please reach out if you need anything at all. Thank you so much. Have a good school year.